To insecurity in the country, where on the same day the National Security Council pledged to come up with new strategies in tackling terrorist activities in the country. An attack was carried out by the outlawed group on troops of 102 Battalion checkpoint at Zuma arrangement, the boundary between Abuja and Niger. According to military intelligence, the terrorists who came in a Hilux truck opened fire upon arriving at the checkpoint, taking troops by surprise. One soldier was reportedly killed in the attack, while two others were injured. Reinforcement teams from Guards Brigade were deployed to beef up security within 102 Battalion barracks and FCT environs. In the meantime, the Nigerian Army has carried out a major redeployment of some of its general officers, commanding and senior officers across its units and formations to reposition the Army for operational efficiency and proficiency. Army spokesperson Oyema Wachuku in a statement said those affected in the redeployment, which was approved by the Chief of Army Staff Farouk Yahaya, include some principal staff officers of the Army headquarters, corps commanders, commandants of training institutions, brigade commanders, and commanding officers. Some of the senior officers appointed as GOCs are UT Musa from Headquarters 81 Division in Lagos to Headquarters 82 Division in Enugu. T.A. Lagwaja from Headquarters 82 Division to Headquarters 1 Division in Kaduna. O.C. Ajuma from Nigeria Defense Section Brasilia to 81 Division. A.S. Chinade was redeployed from Depot Nigerian Army to Headquarters 2 Division in Ibadan. We'll be talking to Managing Director, Beacon Consultant, Dr. Kabir Adamu, live from Abuja shortly in the course of this bulletin for more on the disturbing insecurity situation in Nigeria. Well, let's now talk to the Managing Director, Beacon Consulting Limited, Dr. Kabir Adamu, for more on the very disturbing security situation in Nigeria, which culminated in an attack on soldiers in Abuja yesterday. Your organization recently released its security situation report from January to June, and we saw in that report that the casualty figure was put at over 6,000 and abduction at somewhere, I think half of that figure, with most of these happenings in northern Nigeria. What did you identify to be perhaps the biggest factor, motivating those non-state actors to carry out brazen attacks on even the Nigerian military?
Thank you very much. It's difficult to single out a single big factor, but there are three factors that I would say are largely responsible. Number one, ungoverned spaces, forested and mountainous parts of our country where these gunmen are able to hibernate and carry on their activities. Number two is the weak, ineffective criminal justice system that does not identify, arrest, punish offenders. And then number three is the proliferation of small arms and light weapons that allows them to carry on with what they are doing. There are other factors, but these three, I think, are the major ones.
I'm looking at some of your recommendations. How does this redeployment of some general officers, commanding and senior officers fit into...
Sorry, I lost you there. I didn't get that.
I'm asking if the decision to redeploy some senior officers within the rank of the Nigerian military is perhaps going to prefer any significant solution to this challenge.
Unfortunately, no. And I say this with all sense of responsibility. We are coming from a situation where we put the burden of security on the military, and that is a mistake. The security departments in the country are about 27, and each one of them has a critical role to play. The military has a critical role, but it should never supersede the other 23 or thereabout of them. So that reorganization, reshufflement that we're seeing, it should be across all the 27 ministries, departments, and agencies. And of course, what is even more important is to have accountability within the system. So even where you change positions, you do that kind of reshuffle, and you don't hold the persons that you are appointing accountable. We're not going to see the kind of changes we're seeing. So I'm hoping that it would go through the entire 27 ministries and departments and agencies that are within the security sector in Nigeria.
The National Security Council yesterday talked about coming up with new strategies. There has to be more than reshuffling the military officers, right?
Yeah, so the truth of it is we've got strategies, beautiful ones at that have been acclaimed by the world. Every time we present any security or military strategy outside our borders, it is commended. And in fact, countries come from outside the world to come and copy from us. What is lacking is the implementation of what we have. So I'm hoping that that is the angle that the Security Council will be looking at. Why are we not implementing the document? I'll give you one example. In 2019, the Office of the National Security Advisor launched the revised National Security Strategy, which was supposed to provide a framework and a template for the implementation of different security policies and operations. Unfortunately, we haven't seen the implementation of that document. Even the promise to change a paradigm shift in security from a state-centered approach to a citizen-centered approach. We've not seen that. So I don't think we need a new strategy. What we need is the implementation of what we already find out. Why are we not implementing what we have so that we can improve on that implementation?
Do you consider the timing of the terrorist attack right after the National Security Council talked about its new strategies? But I'm looking at one of your recommendations here where you did mention that there is need to halt the ability of gunmen to move between locations. You stated that they currently mainly use motorbikes. Are you supporting the recent idea coming from federal government to discontinue the use of motorbikes?
Absolutely no. That's not what we're suggesting there. What we are saying is that the regulatory bodies, the institutions in government, especially those that have responsibility for transportation, need to work together with the security agencies to identify all unregistered motorbikes that are within the country, and then to use because frankly, we have the monopoly of the airspace, and it's very easy in a savanna terrain for you to identify 100 motorbikes that are moving. Any unregistered motorbike that moves around in that type of number, which should be very easy for us to deploy and either take it out or to arrest it. So I'm not suggesting that we prevent the lawful usage of motorbikes, because frankly, the local population don't have an alternative. The local economy in most of these villages rely on that type of motorcycle. So banning motorcycles would create more challenges for us, both in terms of security and the economy, than it would solve any problem. So I am advocating that the government should wake up. Those institutions that have the capacity for monitoring transportation should be able to engage the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. Let them come up with perhaps some form of surveillance capability. There are young graduates that can develop apps and other capabilities that would help us in identifying registered motorcycles, how they are moving. All we need is a dashboard that would identify all of these motorcycles. I'm not talking rocket science here. I'm sure if you give a couple of 10, 20 young persons to come up with this, they can do it at a minimal budget than what I'm seeing being spent in certain aspects of security at the moment.
All eyes on the Buhari administration and how it responds this time at this critical period in our nation's history. Managing Director of Beacon Consulting Limited, Dr. Kabir Adamo, thank you for talking to us tonight.
Thank you for having me.